The Chief Minister and the then Governor Nick Pyle gave evidence to the inquiry that their loss of confidence in Ian McGrail had been cumulative. Sir Peter Openshaw examined each of the events that was said to have played some part in this decline. He said the 2017 airport incident involving the arrest of MOD personnel had coloured Mr Pyle's opinion of Mr McGrail's competence and judgment and was one of the reasons for his loss of confidence. He points out it isn't the chairman's role to decide whether this incident should have been handled differently, but, he remarks, the episode caused massive damage to the relationship with the UK and its armed forces, which took a long time and much patient diplomacy to repair. Nevertheless, he notes the airport incident was not mentioned in any correspondence between Mr Picardo, Mr Pyle or the GPA prior to Ian McGrail's retirement. Sir Peter Openshaw highlights that no complaint about the way the RGP had investigated the 2017 assault of a helicopter crew was made by Mr Pyle before May 2022. He says he found the RGP's investigation highly competent and professional, and if the alleged failures coloured Mr Pyle's view of Mr McGrail, it should not have done. He concludes that this rumour was, in his opinion, quite unfounded. The Chief Minister told Mr Pyle that the Alcaidesa saga had contributed to his growing concerns over his loss of confidence in the senior management of the RGP. The episode took place in 2010 during the course of a police operation, which resulted in RGP officers being fined in a Spanish court for trespass and theft. After examining the evidence, Sir Peter Openshaw concludes that Mr Picardo's position appeared to be attributing some undefined responsibility to Mr McGrail on account of his superintendence of the force at the time. He says no possible criticism could properly be made of Mr McGrail personally. And I do not think that this issue played any part in Mr Picardo losing confidence in Mr McGrail. Nick Pyle's email exchange with Fabian Picardo on the 14th of May stated that he thought Ian McGrail was the wrong choice for police commissioner and that the recruitment process had been abject. The chairman notes that Mr Pyle didn't raise either the airport incident or the investigation into the assault of the helicopter pilot, adding it was inappropriate and even unfair of Mr Pyle to have allowed these matters to be referred to at the time of Mr McGrail's retirement, without making it clear that he had not raised them at the time of his appointment. Sir Peter Openshaw states he found no procedural fault or flaw with the process, noting Mr Pyle had marked Mr McGrail as being suitable for appointment. In respect of bullying allegations made by the Police Federation against Mr McGrail, Sir Peter Openshaw accepts that there was a difficult and fractious relationship between the former Commissioner and the GPF, and that this contributed to Mr Pyle's growing sense of unease. The chairman says while he has no doubt Mr Pyle was genuinely concerned by rumours he'd heard, he shouldn't have been influenced by such matters. While he accepts that a complaint was made by the Police Federation about bullying, he concludes, I did not find that it established that there was bullying in the RGP, still less that Mr McGrail was responsible for it. Ian McGrail alleged that the 19 present and former RGP officers turned whistleblowers were offered employment or other inducements in exchange for providing false evidence against him. Their statements were submitted to the inquiry by Hassan's law firm. In total, 23 individuals submitted statements to the inquiry. The chairman ruled that ultimately none of these were relevant to his terms of reference. However, in respect of allegations that these job offers amounted to inducements in exchange for false statements to the inquiry, he says this would be a serious crime akin to contempt of court. In light of this, Sir Peter Openshaw decided that an investigation would be necessary to preserve the integrity and public confidence in the inquiry process. 2 letters presented in evidence were personally signed by Mr Picardo, who during the main hearing accepted that he had signed letters. Former RGP officer John McVeigh was tasked with investigating, concluding that the available evidence did not meet the threshold for criminal prosecution of misconduct in public office. This was validated independently by the National Crime Agency and confirmed by the advice of a King's Counsel in London. The matter is now closed, and Sir Peter Openshaw observes, "I do not think that any further investigation by the inquiry team will bear on the circumstances of Mr McGrail's retirement." Nick Pyle said that without doubt the most serious incident, which was the tipping point of his growing concerns over Ian McGrail, was the March 2020 incident at sea. This involved an RGP chase of a suspect rib, which resulted in 2 deaths in Spanish waters. The chairman describes these as legitimate and serious concerns. Sir Peter Openshaw observes Mr McGrail did not provide Mr Pyle with the best available information. He did not properly discharge the duty which he owed to Mr Pyle as interim governor, and that the incident seriously damaged the trust and confidence the former governor had in Mr McGrail. Nevertheless, he adds, "I am unable to find that he was dishonest or sought deliberately to mislead Mr Pyle." On the alleged failure of Mr McGrail to inform Mr Picardo of the subsequent civil claim arising from the incident, Sir Peter Openshaw says, "I think Mr Picardo was kept informed in a timely and transparent fashion, and I do not think Mr McGrail was in breach of any duty or obligation." Of the incident itself, he concludes, "I am not satisfied that Mr McGrail, as Commissioner of Police, should be accountable if the incident at sea resulted from aberrant officers acting quite contrary to the operating procedures, unpredictably, on their own, without the knowledge, acquiescence or ratification of supervising or managing officers." He says, "In my opinion, none of the allegations made or implied against Mr McGrail withstand detailed analysis, and I'm not satisfied that any of them are established." The chairman also notes Mr McGrail's alleged failures should have been properly spelled out to him at the time, but weren't raised until the 21st to the 22nd of May. The chairman acknowledges that the 2020 HMIC report, which was very critical of the RGP, was only a contributing factor to Mr Picardo and Mr Pyle's accumulating loss of confidence, but that neither had communicated their concerns to Mr McGrail himself. The matter was only raised by the Chief Minister in the second GPA letter of the 22nd of May. Nevertheless, Sir Peter Openshaw says, "I do not think the comments that it was shocking, quite damning, or even very damning were all misplaced. I think that Mr McGrail was fortunate that no calls were made for his removal at the time." That said, he states the report did not make any express personal criticism of Mr McGrail or his leadership. The chairman observes that everyone at the time, including Mr Pyle and Mr Picardo, felt the criticisms could and would be remedied, with Mr Pyle noting on the 30th of April that most of the issues should be relatively easy to fix. He notes it is clear their attitudes did change, and that he would need to consider why this was. Sir Peter Openshaw points out, apart from the deaths at sea and HMIC report, none of the other reasons relied on by Mr Pyle during the inquiry to explain his cumulative loss of confidence were actually spelled out in the Gibraltar Police Authority's 22nd of May letter to Mr McGrail. As for Mr Picardo, he says he quite deliberately and cynically did not spell out that his real grievance arose from the warrant against Mr Levy. Because the chairman says he believed had he done so, the GPA would have made a much more searching inquiry had they been told the truth. He concludes, "I have no doubt that the real reason for Mr Picardo's loss of confidence was that Mr McGrail and the RGP had obtained a search warrant against his friend Mr Levy, which he was determined in one way or another to thwart." In the end, Sir Peter Openshaw says one of the main reasons Mr McGrail felt he had to retire was because he knew the Chief Minister and the Governor had lost confidence in him. But he did so only because he knew he was being unfairly compelled to do so because neither they or the GPA had followed the proper procedures. He was, in effect, being forced out.